The College Medal is the highest honour the Australian College of Educators can bestow. It is an annual award designed to recognise outstanding contributions to education in any field, level or sector of Australian education, and to raise awareness amongst educators and the general public regarding the college's role in advancing the education profession. This year the College Medal is being awarded to Dr Paul Brock AM Face, a most deserving winner. I first met Paul Brock on the 20th of August 1998 in these offices. Catherine Scott and I had recently completed a study of teacher and executive satisfaction, motivation and mental health in Western Sydney public primary and secondary schools, and Paul had invited us to Bridge Street to provide a briefing to senior departmental staff on our findings. This was the start of a personal and professional relationship that continues strongly to this day and hopefully for years to come. In the time that I have known Paul, I quickly came to realise the depth of his passion for and wide scholarship and capability in education. Speaking of passion, in 2004 I had the pleasure of reading and reviewing Paul's book, A Passion for Life. His values are deeply held and unshakable, and for many years he has provided high-level advice and measured input to a succession of ministers and senior departmental staff in New South Wales education, and that advice continues to this day. Paul would be a much-deserved winner of the College Medal, even if he'd only had minimal involvement with the college. However, that is far from the truth, and Paul has been a consistent contributor and leader of the college over many years. For example, he had a major role in the early development of professional standards for classroom teachers, working with the Australian College of Educators, the Australian Association for Research and Education, and the Australian Curriculum Studies Association. These standards were operationalised in the development and implementation of the New South Wales Minister for Education and Australian College of Educators Quality Teaching Awards. Paul was on the initial steering committee as a key member and provided valuable leadership and input that contributed to the success and value of those awards. As we will hear when his citation for the College Medal is read shortly, his importance to education is both broad and deep. I cannot think of a more worthy winner of the 2015 Australian College of Educators Medal. Paul Brock is universally admired throughout Australian education and beyond. An exceptional and inspirational leader, Dr Paul Brock has made an outstanding and unique contribution to Australian education for nearly 50 years. Dr Paul Brock AM Face has been a director in the New South Wales Department of Education under its various titles since 1996. As the Director of Learning and Research Development since 2004, Dr Brock provided departmental leaders with high-quality strategic advice on school education policy based on research, scholarship and experience. His significant intellect and tenacious capacity to carry out, critique and apply educational research and scholarship has contributed to the development of the New South Wales Department of Education's evidence-based policies, priorities and directions. As a policy advisor to the Commonwealth Government in the early to mid-1990s, Dr Brock helped to write the government's white paper, Australia's Language, the Australian Language and Literacy Policy, plus major reports for the National Board of Employment, Education and Training. He led a number of important New South Wales education inquiries and reviews in the latter 1990s and was the author of the national discussion paper, Standards of Professional Practice for Accomplished Teaching in Australian Classrooms. Dr Brock has been a secondary teacher, a deputy principal, an academic at the University of New England, a visiting fellow at universities in the UK and the US, and is currently an adjunct professor in the Faculty of Education and Social Work at the University of Sydney. Dr Brock has been heavily involved in the work of national and international subject and professional teaching associations, serving for many years on the New South Wales Board of Studies Years 11 and 12 English Syllabus Committee and working as the Director of the Board of the Australian Children's Television Foundation. Dr Brock is a highly sought-after keynote speaker and has worked on over 130 publications and has delivered around 200 academic and professional papers to Australian and international conferences. Dr Brock is a Fellow of the Australian College of Educators and the recipient of the ACE New South Wales Sir Harold Wyndham Medal in 2002 and the Service to Australian College of Educators New South Wales Branch Award 2012. In 2006, Dr Brock was inducted as a General Member in the Order of Australia for service to public education, particularly as an advisor and author in the areas of strategic policy development to maintaining high standards of teaching and professionalism, and to people with motor neurone disease. In 2009, the Sydney Morning Herald selected him as one of the In 2009, the Sydney Morning Herald selected him as one of the 5 most influential people in New South Wales education. Through constant drive to make a difference in society through education, Dr. Brock has made an outstanding contribution to the education profession at state, national and international levels, and is deeply respected and admired by educators around Australia and internationally. It gives me great pleasure to present Dr. Paul Brock with the College Medal for 2015.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Steve. That's wonderful. A wonderful privilege, a wonderful honour from somebody whom I've admired, respected, and had deep affection for over so many years. I'll cherish this till the day I die and share it with my wonderful wife, Associate Professor Jackie Manuel, and our 2 wonderful daughters, Sophie and Amelia. Thank you, Steve.
It's now my pleasure to invite Paul to respond to the citation.
First of all, my heartfelt thanks to the College for honouring me with the College Medal for 2015. And a particularly heartfelt thanks to Steve Dinham for his beautiful words of introduction and for the amazing citation which he read out, both of which nearly reduced me to tears, but I've made a recovery. For quite a few years in the mid to late 1970s, I'd resisted joining the college. It struck me then as a sort of club whose membership was drawn mainly from private schools, and I'd been teaching Catholic schools for over 10 years, and whose membership more resembled those heading towards retirement than myself, a pretty get-up-and-go teacher and early career academic who'd been a fierce advocate for secondary school English teaching in New South Wales, Australian and international contexts. So who was it who urged me to join? It was the late wonderful advocate for the college, Dr. Alan Kerr, then at the Armidale CAE, and whom I'd known for only a year or so. Alan convinced me that if young educational Turks like myself didn't join up, then my admittedly rather caricatured image that I had of the college would merely ossify. So what decided me was that if a man of Alan's integrity and professional excellence could have such a passionate commitment to the college, then that was good enough for me. So I joined up and became a member of the New England ACE Region Executive. It was one of the best professional decisions I've taken in my career. It was such a vibrant group of people. We organised things like HSC, study days, both for students and teachers, recruitment drives for the college within and across the New England. One of the early innovations I became involved with was the establishment in 1984 of the Harrison Sutherland Awards to honour 2 superb Armidale educators. Harry Harris had been a District Inspector of Schools in Armidale and later the Executive Director of the Commonwealth Council for Education Administration. The Harris Award is given for an educational program, and the Sutherland Award is conferred for an outstanding educational contribution by an individual. Dr. Alan Kerr was a driving force of these college awards. How terribly saddened we all were, therefore, when Alan died very suddenly in 1993 at the age of 59. The New England region then instituted the Alan Kerr Memorial Award, made to teachers with 2 to 6 years of service for excellence in classroom teaching and in contribution to school life and reputation. All these awards and others remain a major event in the New England calendar attracting an audience as big as 100 to the awards dinner. So I'm absolutely delighted that this year, 2015, the New England region is celebrating its 50th birthday. And it is still going strong. By joining and remaining for the rest of my career as a member and eventually a fellow of the college has also put me in touch with great, inspiring educators with authentic, high reputations in Australia and internationally. Here is just a sample of a list of those great Australian educators whom I've been fortunate enough to know and in nearly all cases become friends with as members and fellows of our college. Sir Harold Wyndham, with whom I spent a delightful day at his home when I was undertaking my PhD research. Dr. William Radford, Professor Bill Walker, whose daughter I also taught in Armidale, Dr. Shirley Randall, Professor Phil Hughes, who died only a couple of years ago, Dr. Gillian Nailing, Professor Barry McGaw, Dr. Susie Pascoe, Dr. Ken Boston, Heather Causley, Professor Jeff Masters, Professor Denise Bradley, Norman Baker, Ruby Reich, Dr. Lindsay Connors, Professor Steve Denham himself, Dr. Norman McCullough, John Cook, Dr. Alan Lachlan, Dr. Michelle Broniges, Anne McIntyre. Look, I could go on and on. These fantastic, great Australian educators I've been privileged to rub shoulders with, if you like, as members and fellows of the college. All of these have been faithful to the tradition commenced by James Darling and Brian Hone. Not many years back, our college had seemed to me at least to be treading water at best and in danger of significant decline at worst. However, starting with the intelligence, drive, collegiality and strategic leadership of our former president, Professor Bob Lingard, and his successor, Professor Steve Denham, and now carried on by Steve's driving, intelligent, collegial and strategic leadership at the national level as president. And here, for example, in New South Wales, where the driving, intelligent, collegial, strategic and indeed passionate leadership of Heather Causley. Unfortunately, I'm not sufficiently familiar with the equivalent leaders of and the situation in other states and territories to be able to comment in these contexts. But I'm sure these comments I've made would apply in other states and regions within them as well. It seems to me that our college is on the cusp of a dynamic renaissance. But I think the renaissance needs to be built on our college's traditional foundations of high aspiration, excellence, professionalism, communication, collaboration, fellowship, and trust at, between and among all four levels of local, regional, branch and national, upon which, as I say, our college was established and has thrived, and which has characterised all of the successful professional organisations in which I've been involved. At all times in my experience, the college has been committed to the ideals articulated in the OECD's lovely description of education as the knowing and caring profession. So first of all, we need a solid grassroots credibility basis, which provides the drive and the inspiration for all at the grassroots membership level. This should be supported and led at a regional level, but a relationship which is not a sort of top-down, bottom-up or bottom-up, top-down relationship, but rather a kind of symbiotic two-way relationship between the regional organisation and the grassroots. All of our members need to be convinced that what they receive from the college justifies their membership fees. And all our members should also be convinced that the college is keen to receive the benefit of their expertise and experience and to be happy to disseminate them throughout the college. Then we need a similar productive and fruitful, again not top-down, bottom-up or vice versa, collegial interrelationship between the regions and their respective state branches. If I may be parochial just for a minute, New South Wales ACE President Heather Causley has demonstrated in our state how important it is to revive dormant regions, to retain and foster ones so that they become thriving once again, to nurture and support early career teachers, and to recruit and retain new members. Of course, these are also goals that are being pursued vigorously by the college at the national level under Stephen's leadership. Finally, we need a powerful, driving and inspirational centre at the national level, which similarly enjoys a symbiotic, productive and fruitful, not top-down, bottom-up, vice versa, collegial interrelationship with the state branches and thereby the regional organisations and thereby with the grassroots. Each upper so-called stage of the hierarchical organisational pyramid should strive collectively to ensure the professional, financial and, for want of a better word, social vitality and appropriate autonomy of the stage beneath it, all linked in an interdependence and collaborative spirit, working together fruitfully to pursue the goals of the college. As in all professional associations, the centre should not dominate the regions and the local groups, nor the branches, regions and local groups try to diffuse the legitimate authority exercised at the centre. And under Stephen's leadership, I am confident that our college is forging ahead on addressing these ever-challenging issues which can lead to so much productive and fruitful outcomes when working collaboratively all together. I believe that Steve Denham, whose presidency concludes in December, shares my values and views on these matters, and I look forward to incoming President Bronwyn Pike and her board pursuing this kind of really important interrelationship between and among the four levels, if you like, of our college. I believe that never in my career has the future of Australian education been in greater need of the kind of leadership that the Australian College of Educators aspires to exercise within, between and among all levels of education. To use the overused word unique, our college seeks to incorporate the voices and aspirations of prior to school educators, primary and secondary school educators, educators in TAFE and university, across all sectors, public and private. As our charter sets out, ACE aims to, and I'm quoting, aims to advance the education profession across all sectors and levels by, firstly, providing a strong national voice for the profession. Secondly, enhancing the status of the education profession. Third, promoting professional standards. Fourth, recognising excellence in professional practice. Fifth, fostering the professional learning of educators. I continue to quote, in pursuing these goals, ACE strives to, 1, speak with authority on educational issues. 2, exercise ethical leadership of the profession. 3rd, enhance the professionalism of educators. 4th, create unity among all sectors and levels of the profession. Next one, foster cooperation and networking. Acknowledge outstanding contributions to education. To facilitate continuous professional learning and improvement, and to recognise and value highly accomplished teaching. End of quote. Our college was formally established at the Founders' Convention held in May 1959 at Geelong Grammar School, inspired by that truly great Australian educator, Dr. James Darling. As we look back 56 years later, I think it's fair to say that over that time, at all levels within our college, members and fellows and those supporting us administratively have certainly played their role in helping the college to fulfil our charter and our goals. But to reiterate, never in my career, it seems to me, has Australian education more seriously needed our explicit goals being addressed based on and adapted from the earlier vision of Dr. Darling and his founding colleagues, especially Brian Hone, to be aspired for and achieved. Dr. Darling certainly aimed high. He wanted a prestigious body of leaders in education, similar to the Royal College of Surgeons or the Australian Academy of Science that had recently been established. He wanted an elite group to raise the status of the teaching profession. All would be fellows of the college. On the other hand, Brian Hone looked more at involving leaders from both the private school sector and the state schools, and he envisaged a broader membership than did Darling. Hone wanted a meeting place for both sectors to work together in a more collaborative way. I'm sure that my great friend Steve Denham shares my aspiration that the renaissance of our college will flourish in ways that will make the vision of James Darling and Brian Hone realised well before the 60th anniversary of our foundation in 2019. Once again, thanks to the college for honouring me with this prestigious award. It is one of the absolute highlights of my long career in education. Thank you.